So last class we started a new topic in the embedded system, that is hardware software co-design, okay, in embedded systems. Okay, so we discussed how embedded system can be designed simultaneously at both hardware and software levels. Okay, so compared to the traditional method of parallel and serial production of hardware and software, here we do it simultaneously. Okay, so next we look upon into the computational models in the embedded system. Okay, the computational models in the embedded system. Okay, so computational models means they are those models in the embedded system wherein you can perform computations. Computation means calculation. So if you have some input, if you perform calculation on the input, you get the required output. So computational models are those models which help in performing certain calculations on the input data to produce the output data. And these are done using embedded system design. Okay. So we will look at some of the examples of the computational models. Okay. So data flow graph, state machine model, concurrent process model, okay, sequential program model, object oriented model are some of the commonly used computational models in embedded systems. So these are some of the examples of computational models. So in that we will see first the data flow graph. Okay, data flow graph or diagram model. Okay, so you should know what is data flow graph or the diagram model. Okay, so in data flow graph model, okay, certain data processing requirements are there. Okay, and the requirement is that it should be in the form of data flow and it should be in the form of a graph. Data flow and graph together, data flow graph. Okay, so data flow means flow of data from input to output, and graph is the way of representing the flow. Okay, so how the data flows, that is represented by a graph. Okay, so actually this data flow graph is a data driven model. Okay, and it is called data driven model because in this model, okay, the output depends on the input, and not only input, how the input is executed, that depends, that affects the output. Okay, so how input is given, how it is executed, and how you get the output, that is the important criteria for data flow graph to work. Okay, so generally in this model, data is taken and some operations are performed on the data like addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. And you get the required output data. Okay. So in this particular model, so you can see in this particular graph. Okay. So one graph is shown here. Uh, okay. So you can see the graph here shown in blue box. Okay, so this graph shows a number of inputs A, B, and C. Okay, and certain operations are there. They are plus, plus, and minus. Two operations are performed. So in this data flow graph, you can find out that there are two inputs A and B. Okay, you can find A and B are the two inputs. So addition is performed on A and B to produce the output X. Okay, so the arrows pointing to the node, this is a node. Okay, node where you perform certain operations, that is called node. Okay, arrows pointing to the node are inputs. So A and B are inputs. Arrows pointing outward of the node is called output. So X is your output. So after you add a plus b, you get the output x, and then you have the input c. So you add x and c, that is you subtract x and c, and you get output y. So two operations are basically performed, that is addition and subtraction. So addition is plus, subtraction is minus. Okay, on the input variables we are performing the operations. So this plus and minus are called as data flow nodes, and they are represented by circles. Okay, so inner arrow, that is the arrow pointing towards the node, is called the input, and the arrow pointing outward of the node is called output. Okay, so that is about the data flow graph description. Okay, so what type of models are usually used for data flow graph? What type of models, or what is the application of data flow graph? Okay. Usually, embedded applications with high computations or complex operations and which are data driven are modeled using data flow graph. Okay. So, usually embedded applications which are complex and driven by data are developed by data flow graph. Okay. So example is DSP applications, digital signal processing applications. Your DSP processor, your ARM processor are all examples of embedded applications using data driven data flow graph. Okay. So here two operations were carried out, x equal to a plus b and y equal to x minus c using the data flow graph. This example we saw. Okay. So what we saw was in data flow model, data path is the data flow path from input to output. That means data flows from input to output through a certain path. That path is called data path. Okay. Data path is certain path. Okay. Data path is certain path, that is flow of data from input to output. That path is called data path. Okay. So again, this DFG model which we discussed can be acyclic data flow graph or non-acyclic data flow graph. So what is then the meaning of acyclic data flow graph? Okay. So if the data flow graph does not contain multiple values for the input variables and multiple output values for a given set of inputs, then such data flow graphs are acyclic data flow graphs. Okay. So multiple values of the input variables are not there. We have A and B. Okay. Multiple input variables, but not multiple values like 1 and 0. Okay, not like that. But A is 1, B is 0. You cannot have A equal to 0 and A equal to 1, two values for A. A should have only one value, 1, or B should have only one value, 0. Then you can perform certain operations on the input variables. It is called acyclic data flow graph. Okay, and multiple output variables are not there, but only single output variable. Like A and B you add, you get X. You don't get Y. Though there are X and Y, multiple output variables, okay, but they have their own formula. Like A minus A plus B is equal to X. So X value is fixed. It is not multiple. Y is equal to X minus C. So Y value is fixed. It is not variable. Okay. And then you have something called as non-acyclic inputs. That is non-acyclic input means data flow model which does not have, which have feedback input. Output is fed back to the inputs. They are the examples of non-acyclic inputs. So feedback. Okay, if feedback connection is there, then it is called non-acyclic input. So in this data flow graph which we discussed, there is no feedback. So it is acyclic data flow graph. Okay. So what we discussed was data flow graph model, and we saw that the program is executed as a single sequential process. Okay, program is executed as a single sequential process. So you can see in this particular diagram. Okay, uh, first A and B is added, you get X, then C is subtracted from X, you get Y. So single sequential execution. First execution is A and B, then execution X and C. So sequential execution in a single process. Okay, sequential execution in a single process. Okay. Next is control data flow graph or diagram. Okay. So till now we were discussing about the data flow graph of the embedded system. Now we will see control data flow graph. Okay. So what do you mean by control data flow graph? Control data flow graph is a data driven model in which the execution is controlled by the data itself. Okay, execution is controlled by data itself, but there are no control operations. Okay, operations are not controlled. Okay, so in data flow model what we saw was data is controlled by, operation is controlled by data and no control operations. Now we are going to discuss about control data flow graph, CDFG. Okay, in this program execution depends on the control signal. Program execution depends on the control signal. So whatever operations you are going to do, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, they are all controlled. That means you are expressing control over the operations. So we will see an example. Okay, if flag is equal to 1, x equal to a plus b, else y equal to a minus b. So this is the condition. Okay, this is the condition. So I just put a tick over this. Okay, so you have this condition. Okay, if flag equal to 1, x is equal to a plus b. So the condition or the control is the flag. Okay, if flag is 1, you have to perform addition operation. Otherwise, you have to perform subtraction operation. Y is equal to a minus b if flag is not 1. Okay, so in turn, you are making a decision. Okay, so in turn, you are making a decision. Okay, decision making process. Okay, so you are making a decision whether to execute x is equal to a plus b or execute y is equal to a minus b depending on the decision. Okay, that is control data flow graph. So you are expressing the flow of data by exerting control over some variables. What is a variable? Flag. So you are expressing control over the flag, okay, to perform certain operations. Okay, so we will see an example. Okay, so this is the control data flow graph. Okay, example. Okay, so we have got a diamond shaped box here. Okay, you can see here diamond shaped box. Okay, diamond shaped box which shows a control variable. It is called as a control node. Okay, if a flag is 1, then what? You have to true. Okay, this is true. Okay, T. When flag is equal to 1 true, add A and B. Okay, and take it to the result. Add A and B. If it is false, a flag is not 1 means you add, you subtract A and B and get the result. You subtract A and B and get the result. So, two operations plus and minus are called data flow nodes, and this is the control node. It is flag. Control node which is flag. Okay. So where you can see the applications of control data flow graph. In real world applications, you can see the examples of control data flow graph. Okay, real world examples. Okay, so CDFG is used for capturing and saving of the images to a particular format by the user in the camera. Suppose if you are using a camera, okay, so you will capture the image and the image will be saved in the memory of the camera. Okay, so for capturing and saving of the image in a particular format like BMP, JPEG, PNG, okay, you want to save it in a particular format. Okay, then what you do, you can use this uh, CDFG, that is a control data flow graph for this purpose. Okay, so you know that when you capture an image from the camera, okay, so whatever analog image is there, that is captured by the analog front end. Okay, it converts that analog front end will convert the signal to digital signal and stores it in the it processes through the ADC and stores it in the frame buffer, and later to be used by the processor to perform operations like auto correction, white balancing, denoising, so on. Okay. So the image may be stored in the form of BMP, TIFF, etc. according to camera settings. So your CCD camera, okay, with the sensor will capture the image analog and it will convert it into digital using ADC. It is sent to the frame buffer for storage and also for the processor, okay, to perform operations like correction, auto correction, white balancing, etc. Okay. So this was about the control data flow graph. So difference was in data flow graph, you don't have the control over the program execution, whereas in control data flow graph, you have the control over the program execution. Okay. Next is state machine model. Okay, state machine model. So we will look now into what is this state machine model. Okay, by the words state means which state. Okay, present state or the previous state or the next state. So three states we can have. And machine model. So machine may be in any state, present state, previous state or the next state, and depending on that you have a model called as state machine model. Okay, so state machine models are used for modeling certain event driven embedded systems. Event driven means embedded systems operation depends on the occurrence of certain events, while whose processing behavior are dependent on state transition. Okay, so state machine models are those models which are event driven and whose operation depends on the transition of the states. States are present state, future state, that is the next state, or the present state. Okay. What are the examples? So embedded system used in control and industrial applications are certain examples. Okay. So state machine model describes certain behavior of the state. What are the behaviors? The behaviors are the states, the events, the actions and transitions. So what are all this? We will see now. What is the state, what is an event, what is an action, and what is a transition. Okay. State is a representation of the current situation. Okay, now what is the current situation? So that is given by the state. It can be a present state, previous state, or the next state. Okay. An event is an input to the state. So if you want to determine the present state, then what is the next state? So you should have some input. That input is the event. Occurrence of the event is an input to the state. Okay. Next, event stimulates the state transition. That means event causes the state transition. Okay. Then what is transition? Transition is a movement from one state to another state. If I want to move from previous state to present state, I should make a transition. Likewise, if I want to move from present state to next state, I have to make a transition. Then what is the action? Action is an activity performed by the state machine model. So while making a transition, the action is performed by the state machine. Then only transition will occur. Okay. Now we move to an important concept called the finite state machine. Okay. The finite state machine. Okay. So finite state machine model is the model in which there are finite number of states. Okay. So we can say how many states are there? 3 states, 4 states, or many states. Okay. So you can have finite number of possible states depending upon the finite state machine model. Okay. So now we will take an example of this finite state machine model. Okay. So in automotive or automobiles, you have a seat belt warning systems in your cars, maybe. So if you are not wearing the seat belt, it will give a warning. So this seat belt warning system in automobiles can be classified under state machine model. Okay. So what are the system requirements? So when the ignition or the car or the vehicle is turned on, and if the seat belt is not fastened or worn within 10 seconds of the start of the engine, then alarm signal will be generated for 5 seconds. That means if the car is turned on and if you are not wearing the seat belt within 10 seconds after the car was on, okay, then the warning system will generate an alarm or it will produce a sound. Okay, it will produce a horn for 5 seconds. Okay, alarm will be produced for 5 seconds. Then if the alarm will be turned off, okay, when the alarm time finishes, or if the driver passenger wears the seat belt, or if the car is turned off, whichever happens first. Okay, so alarm will be turned on when the seat belt is not worn after the car is started after 10 seconds. Okay, and alarm is off when that 5 seconds finishes or if the passenger wears the seat belt. Okay, or if the car is turned off. So what are the states? Alarm off, waiting, alarm on. Three states are there. And events: ignition on, ignition off, time expire, alarm time expire, and seat belt on. These are the events. Okay. Using all these events and states, we can model the finite state machine. Okay. So we have the diagram for the finite state machine. Okay. So we look at the diagram. Okay. So you can see the diagram here that is shown. Okay. So I will use an oval to draw the diagram. So here you can see the alarm off. Okay. And you can also see waiting and alarm on. Three nodes you can see. Three nodes are shown here and they are connected to each other. Okay. So alarm is off. When is the alarm off? Alarm is off when the car is off. Okay. When you turn on the car, the alarm will wait for 5 seconds. Okay. After the 5 seconds is over, alarm will turn on. Okay. Alarm will turn on. So it will wait for 5 seconds. Okay. So you have the car which is in off state. Alarm is also in off state. When the car is turned on, ignition key on. Okay. Alarm will wait for 5 to 10 seconds to check whether the driver is wearing the seat belt or not. Okay. If the driver is wearing the seat belt, okay, then fine and good. Otherwise, it will wait for 5 seconds and it will sound the alarm. Okay, alarm will become on. Okay, after waiting for 5 seconds, if the passenger or the driver wears the seat belt, alarm will become off. Otherwise, alarm will be in the waiting state and after 5 seconds, it will produce sound. Okay. Now, when the alarm is off, okay, no problems. But when the alarm is on, if the alarm time finishes, that is 10 seconds, then alarm will become off. If the passenger wears the seat belt, again alarm will become off. If the car is turned off, again the alarm will become off. So it is in the form of a cyclic flow. Okay, it is in the form of a cyclic flow. So this diagram shows the cyclic flow of the automatic seatbelt warning system. This is called a finite state model because you have the present state, you have the waiting state, and you have the alarm state. Okay, three states you have got: on state of the alarm, waiting state, and alarm on state. Okay, so this is about the flow of the present state, next state, and previous state. So three states we have got. So this is the present state means this will be the next state. If this is present state, this will be next state. Okay. So these are the examples. Okay. Then also you have another example of finite state machine model. Okay, for a timer. Okay, timer is another example. Okay, timer will be in idle state, it is not running. Okay, if suppose some event occurs, the timer will be loaded and the timer will get ready. Okay, the timer will get ready. So what is the function of the timer? To count. Okay, so how timer was in idle state, it is loaded with a new count and the timer is ready. If suppose some event occurs, okay, the timer starts and timer begins to decrement and the timer is running now. Okay, after it starts to decrement. Okay, after the timer finishes, okay, the time expires means 00. Time expires means or stop timer, then event will be over and again it will move to idle state. So set a timeout flag or timeout interrupt. If suppose some interrupt happens or if timer timeout flag is cleared, then it will move to idle state. Okay. One simple example is that of a stopwatch. So you know what is a stopwatch. Okay. Stopwatch means when you turn on, it will start the countdown. Okay. 100, 99, 98 till 00. 00 it will stop. Okay. So initially the stopwatch will be in idle state. Okay. You load the count 100, it will be into the ready state. When you turn on the stopwatch, it will start counting from 100. Okay. Event is start timer, action is decrement. Okay. Once you start the timer, that is the event. Okay. What action happens? The counter begins to decrement 100, 99, 98, so on. Okay. So stopwatch begins to run. Okay. After the stopwatch begins to run and it reaches 00, timer automatically stops and it reaches an idle state. Okay. So after the flag is such that the timer becomes 0, okay, immediately timeout interrupt will be initialized and timer will be reset. So that means stop the timer. When timer count becomes 00, immediately interrupt will be activated and it will tell the timer that the time has finished. So it will move to idle state. So in this present situation, you have the present state, the next state and the previous state. So if this is the present state, this will be the next state. If this is present state, this will be the previous state and this will be the next state. So three possible states we can have. Okay. So that is, this is also the example of timer. Okay. We have one more example which we will take up in the next class. Okay. Two more examples are there which we will take up in the next class and we will try to complete the this particular chapter. Okay. So any doubts regarding today's class?